Hello and welcome to Iridium Rock and Metal Reviews. So today we're going to carry on the best tracks of the year. So we're up to 1993 now. So this was a funny year, and it was obviously reflects my best albums of 1993 as well, because it was a strange year. It's funny because 92 was really good, and I think it gets better later in the 90s as well, but 93 was just a poor year for me individually. Obviously not for everyone, but you know, for me it was strange. So all I could muster up for me was 6 tracks that I want to talk about, and that's not a lot when we're talking tracks, because I usually get quite a few tracks, even if there's albums that come out that I didn't particularly like. Sometimes there's a track that stands out and I'll add that to my list, but not so on this year. So it's a bit of a poor one. So I've only got 6, and that's really unusual. So without further ado, we're going to go talk about my 6 tracks, my best tracks, from 6 to 1. Obviously 6 being my least favourite to number 1. So my 6th track. Now this didn't appear on my albums, best albums, but it was an honourable mention, and that's Life of Agony. They brought one album out called River Runs Red, and the standout track for me easily was This Time. Very dark, you know, it was almost like new metal, bit of Alice in Chainsy in there as well, bit of that feel, but a very dark song. You know, it was, you can't get no darker than this, honestly. If you haven't heard this, go and listen to it. It's obviously on YouTube. This Time by Life of Agony. So yeah, American band. And the whole album had a real dark theme to it. You know, it wasn't a happy album, put it that way. But a really good track, That's my number 6. My number 5, a band that takes a lot of stick, and it pisses me off, and that's Winger. So they brought the album Paul, and Down Incognito was a song off it for me that stands out. It was the more catchiest song on the album. But this is a time when Winger were really starting to experiment with their sound, really. Progressive elements. I'm saying they're a real technical band, really. Great musicians and so underrated. And like I've said a couple of times on here before, a fucking cartoon, Beavis and Butthead. You know, I think that's a lot of the reason why this band took a lot of stick, and it's just a stupid reason to, you know, let the music do the talking. You know, you listen to it, you'd be surprised. Any of those people that haven't given Winger a chance because of that, you know, the reputation they got. It's another band like Europe, you know. Europe have got that reputation because of that fucking one song, Final Countdown. Everyone thinks that's all they do. It's bullshit. Listen to Winger, believe me. That's my number 5. Right, my number 4. Scorpions and Alien Nation from Feel the Heat. So, Alien Nation isn't the best Scorpions album by far. For me, it was a bit of a step up from Crazy World. You know, I thought Crazy World was a poor album. Only liked a couple of tracks, and I thought this sort of went back a little bit to how they was, but not quite capturing the Scorpions, you know, of the 80s, without a doubt. But some really good songs in here, you know, mixed bag really with this album. But Alien Nation, what a stomping song. It's got like a stomping beat behind it. It's a great song, really heavy, great riff as well. You know, Klaus Meine even really performed on this track, and he still does to this day. So really good, that Alien Nation song. Number 3, Pearl Jam. So we're getting into the grungy type stuff now, and their track Indifference from Verses, or sometimes it's called the Pearl Jam album, or you know, it's a bit, I think it's Verses. But I love this song because it's on the end of the album. It's got such a moody feel to it. It's a slow song, very similar to Oceans, but even a bit more somber, and you know, quite a sad song as well, sad sounding song, and really different. You know, that's what I like about this. And this really, well, I talk about them songs that transport you. This one really does. It's a great song. When you put this on, you only think about this song. You don't think about anything else. Number 2, loving this track that I've chosen as number 2, because I've spoken about Dio before, and I did some Dio reactions to some albums that I missed from the 80s, you know, late 80s through to, you know, all the way up really. All the Dio solo stuff I sort of left behind because I was a bit disappointed in a couple of the you know, albums straight after Sacred Hearts. I think, oh God, you know, I don't know, but I went back and I started to give people suggestions to listen to songs, and someone gave me this track, Bring Down the Rain from Strange Highways, and I was so glad I heard it because obviously that's made it into my list. I love that when that happens, so it wouldn't have been on my list if someone didn't suggest that, so brilliant. That's my number 2. What a great track by Ronnie Dio. Some real energy in that, just like back in the day in the first couple of albums he did, you know, with his Dio solo stuff. So, and my number 1, another song that's made me really happy because this was another band that I left behind after a couple of albums, and then someone suggested me go back and listen to this stuff. So I did, and Edge of Thorns by Savatage from the album Edge of Thorns. Love this track. Obviously this one is, I think, the first album where Zach Stevens is the vocalist, where John Oliver has left the band. But yeah, I do prefer the old singer, but Zach Stevens does a great job on this. And Edge of Thorns, I think, along with a couple of other tracks, are outstanding on this album, but Edge of Thorns just edged it. That wasn't meant to be a joke until I actually said it, but there you go. So that's it. 1993, very sparse, not much going on, but you know, there is some better years to kick on with, so that'd be great when we get to them. So cheers for listening. Please subscribe. Red button, bottom right hand corner.